Starting Tech News Weekly in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome to Tech News Weekly. I'm your host, Andrew Zarin. Of course, with me as always is John Bubb, also known as Suncast. How you doing, John?
Hey, what's up?
Where are you broadcasting live from today?
I am at a mystery location in LA today.
It looks really good.
Yeah, some people might recognize it.
Yeah, it looks really, really good. Say hello to... Wow, what is that? Say hello to my friend over there.
I'll do that for you.
Been a crazy week, John. I have to tell you. Crazy
It's
week.
always a crazy week for you. You're one of those guys that constantly has a crazy week. It doesn't
never
matter
ending.
What's going on. It's always crazy.
It's never ending. Jess has me redoing the entire house. My entire first floor I've redone. I've redone every single room. And I'm still not finished. Tomorrow I have to go to IKEA and get like a couple things. This is insane. It's really nuts.
Well,
but
we know who's whipped.
Well, it's her birthday. I got to do it.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, it's her birthday present. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm remodeling for her.
I see.
I have to tell you, you realize... So I'm doing a lot of work in the house, and then I'm thinking, like, what kind of technology can I add while I'm doing this? And, like, home automation came to mind, right? Like, that I would automate the lights, and I would change all the lighting fixtures to LED bulbs. You don't realize how expensive it gets until you actually add it up. And you've been to my house. I mean, it's a pretty big house.
Yeah.
It would cost me thousands to automate this entire place.
Well, that's why most people don't really do any sort of automation. I mean, you can do some automation here and there. There's those Belkin Wemos that are fairly inexpensive and work really well. But if you want to do like full-blown entire home automation, yeah, you're going to spend thousands of dollars.
I've realized that it's going to be impossible for any existing home. It's only going to work well with new builds, where people say, okay, I'm gonna do this. I want to automate my entire house from the time that we're building this entire thing.
Yeah, if you're doing an entirely new build, you put the Cat 6 cable in there.
Yeah,
and everything's just wired automatically.
Everything, yeah. So, I was thinking, I'm like, because I was doing some wall work and stuff. I'm like, I'll just run a cable in here. Like, I was doing the walls.
Wall work.
Yeah, I put up walls. I painted wall work. And then I realized, I'm like, you know what, this is gonna be too much of a headache. So I just scrapped the entire idea to do this. But it's expensive stuff to do home automation. I'd love to know I'd love to hear from one of our viewers, anyone that has done this, to the extent of doing it more than one room. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy to do one room. Like, I could automate my studio.
Yeah, or even like one light or a couple lights.
Yeah.
When you want to do everything, I mean, you add it up. How many lights how many electrical outlets you have to automate, basically.
Okay. So
how many doors and windows do you have to automate?
We did this
Then
once.
You got to do the entire, heating and cooling automation, which is an entirely separate deal usually.
Yeah, the heating, I forget about that because I don't have central, but it's crazy. So I'd love to talk to someone that has done this to a house or even an apartment, like if they've automated everything to see if it's actually worth doing. If it's
the home of the future.
The home of the future, yeah.
Still ain't there yet.
It never happened, right? We never got that robot that changes you.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, that never happened.
It's still too damn expensive.
Yeah. John, why don't you talk to me about the CBS launching their own streaming network?
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. CBS, there's been rumors of this for about a week or two now, but CBS is officially confirming that they're launching a 24/7 streaming channel they're calling CBSN. It's basically their answer to the Huffington Post live feed and a couple of others out there. I think ABC does one as well. Basically, it's a 24/7 news channel online. They're going to have 15 hours of live programming per day, 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. And they're also going to have like an on-screen interface where you can choose on-demand segments and stuff.
Yeah, I'm there right now. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, and I guess it's free right now.
Yeah.
There's no subscription. You can just watch it anytime you want. It'll work across Roku, Amazon Fire TV, etc. It'll also work on Windows Phone if you have that sort of thing.
So
It seems pretty cool.
So this is going to be a strictly CBS news based program where they're just talking to news.
Yeah, I guess it's you know what, a lot of people kind of knock this, kind of don't knock this. I see this as a nice step forward for video on the internet.
I have to tell you something. I'm watching a commercial now on this. Like, they have commercials already, so they've sold ads.
Oh yeah, well I understand that because they have to pay for it somehow.
No, I mean in a
This stuff is
positive
nuts.
way. No, I'm saying in a positive way. That's a very good sign if they have actual ads playing. I don't think HuffPost has ads on their their video portion.
Yeah, I do in a way kind of wish that they would offer an ad-free version.
Yeah, they go to commercial breaks and they come. So where are they broadcasting from? New York?
I don't know where their studio is.
If it's
at.
CBS
Apparently
Interactive,
they will break in when there's special events and breaking news, though.
Yeah. It's actually really interesting how they're doing this.
I think it's just another, step in the evolution of programming. Because if you think about it, it was back in like the 1980s or 70s when CNN first launched and basically was one of the first, if not the first, 24/7 news cable channel.
Oh man, and it was rough. It looked rough,
Yeah. Which is why I give, this is just the first generation of what they're doing. And it is the evolution of, eventually now they're doing the same thing with the internet. First, we had the 24/7 cable news channel, which was basically CNN. But if you look at the evolution of where CNN is today, it's just a huge growth and change over the years. And now we're starting to have that sort of growth and change on the internet where we're now having this kind of programming on the internet, offered on internet only.
Yeah. It's interesting how this is evolving. The biggest battle that they're going to have, and I think for anybody that's a cord cutter, the biggest problem that's going to exist is sports. When the cable companies have a hold of sports, it's going to be very hard to let go for many, many people until the NFL, the MLB, NHL, NBA, they all start putting all their games online.
Well, you have that to a degree right now.
To a
with
degree,
MLB
but not
and
really.
NFL.
But not really, right? It's there, but it's not.
It's to a degree. But again, this is just something that I think we're still in the very early stages of being offered online.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really good, actually. I'm watching it right now. I mean, it looks like the broadcast feed, so they're not half-assing the entire thing. Sports is a different story because you got to have a really high frame, not the frame rate, I'm sorry, the bit rate has to be really high on a sports feed.
Yeah, and I would, that would be cool if they offered a higher frame rate too. Just to do something innovative.
Yeah.
Because that's something that you don't necessarily do with TV.
Yeah, I mean, the problem that I have right now with MLB.com and MLB TV and the WWE Network is that when you're watching it, it feels like you're watching programming on the internet. Because the frame rate is fine. It's the bit rate that's low. I think it's like 5 megabits per second. And when you take a 5 megabit per second sports feed and you compare it to whatever broadcast is, so I think it would be maybe anywhere between 15 to 20 megabits.
Yeah.
You're going to see a humongous difference in that.
Oh, yeah.
If it's a talking head, you're not going to really see much of a difference.
Well, that's one of my main beefs for any video online today is that you generally have such a significantly reduced low bit rate. Like Xfinity does some live TV online. But if you look at any other live TV offering, it's just really pathetic looking. It's practically, below 24 frames per second, maybe a meg and a half per second
Is it really?
of video quality.
Is it really that low?
Yeah.
A meg and a half?
Yeah.
I guess they do it because
you're only going to get at most 720p.
If we raise ours,
here's what really annoys the crap out of me is that the video player on the Xfinity website is actually smaller than 720p. It's not 1280 by 720, which I can understand. But then once you full screen it, well, then it's bigger than 720p, and you start losing quality because it's scaled up.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So
I
that annoys me.
have a big problem with how they handle that. Like they don't. If we bumped our bandwidth to 5 megabits per second for our feed, John, do you think a lot of our viewers wouldn't be able to watch?
Yeah,
You think so? At 5?
there is. I can think of at least one or two people off the top of my head that are regular viewers that would not be able to support that. And even now, they generally go towards the audio feed.
A lot of them.
I mean, Swamp Rat is one of our regulars, and he lives in basically middle of Louisiana, where he can't get any high speed internet.
So what is his band? What's his internet like?
I think he has like 2 or 3 megabits down.
Okay, so there'd be no way you could do it. Yeah, so
No.
that's absolutely that's really difficult to do. I can't believe that's still an issue in 2014. You know what I mean? Like, isn't that nuts that there are people that have internet access and they can't go above 5?
Yeah.
People watching on mobile, says Curtis B, who only have 3G, not LTE. That's also a very good point. Right now we're doing 1.5 meg. We do 1.5.
Then there's also transcoding, which is supposedly to help alleviate stuff like that. Issues where you have
it's just not there, you know? Like, you're right. It is like the early days of cable.
Yeah.
It just, the technology is there, but the access, the availability for people is just not there.
Yeah, and there's also, just the cost to do all of this. Because this is something that we've been looking at to do ourselves, having our own streaming server and do that 24/7. We just simply can't really afford it right now.
Yeah. No, it's nearly impossible for us.
I mean, I'm going to give you what I've been looking at. For us to do a 24/7
Couple thousand
streaming server ourselves that offers HLS, we're talking almost $1,000 per month.
Yeah.
You're talking at a minimum $500 per month, minimum. You're talking between $500 and $1,000 per month to do streaming online.
And that's crazy. I mean, that's really nutty to do that. It just,
yeah, I mean, when you understand that sort of thing, I really understand why there are ads in front of videos, because it's just so costly.
No, I get it. Listen, we need the ads. I mean, we have the ads. We don't make money from the ads that are on our player. The only one we made money from was Justin TV, and I'll tell you, that was sweet money coming in.
Mm-hmm.
But they're gone. Stick them. They're gone. Ustream, I don't think we're part of their ad program. Daily Motion, we're not part of their ad program for the live stream. Only the embedded videos on their website. So it's still, they need to make money to survive. But I don't think any of these companies are really making that much money. When you think about this,
I mean,
they're running on venture capital.
The margins probably are not that big.
No, it can't be that big. It can't be. And they're just running on investor money. And that's why you see them leaving, and after 5 years, and they're gone. I closed the CBS feed. It was still on. I just noticed. So it's available. The CBS feed is available on Roku and all the other ones. So that's actually really good. John, go into another story for me.
So I really want to talk about this AT&T story. It came out, I believe, yesterday. AT&T is halting its fiber build-out until net neutrality rules are sorted out. Net neutrality has been a big topic this entire year, and especially this last couple of weeks, where we've had the FCC and Tom Wheeler saying a bunch of things, trying to look at comments from everybody. And then you have President Obama also throwing his opinion into the arena, just making a mess of things, in my opinion, of an already very confusing situation in terms of net neutrality. So this is just bad news all around, I think, for consumers. The fact that AT&T has decided that it's not going to roll out any more fiber services until it knows what the rules are regarding net neutrality. And I think this is somewhat of a cop-out for them to just, well, if you don't do this, then we're not going to invest in anything.
It's gotten really convoluted.
And I don't think it makes any difference what rules come down the road. It's going to be years before this ever happens.
What is President Obama's stance? What does he want to do with the pro net neutrality remarks? What was it exactly?
If I recall correctly, and I might not be 100% correct in this because it is just such a very confusing and convoluted topic.
By the way, Tom Merritt, you should ask Tom Merritt over there. I know you're there with him. You should ask him because he knows a lot about this. He's really passionate about the net neutrality stories. And the problem with the story is that it's very difficult to kind of talk about it and not get political. We have to take the politics outside of this. I know it's very difficult to do that. Because it is kind of this left and right issue.
Oh,
but
totally. And this is what the worst part of the net neutrality debate is the politics of it. And when it really should not have anything to do with the politics. And I know Tom Merritt's tweeted a couple of really great articles this week regarding net neutrality and the fact that what it comes down to is not wanting to necessarily regulate, pay prioritization of speed and data. It comes down to having choice of ISP and data services.
Yeah,
where we don't have choices right now. It's such a monopoly that we don't have the competition, and we need more competition.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, we had competition when it came to DSL, right? We had competition when it came to dial-up. We do not have competition. Oh, yeah. I'll give you a perfect example. I'll give you a perfect example, John.
You're comparing. This is part of the debate right here. Is that you're talking about dial-up, which uses telephone lines from telecoms, which is classified under something completely different than ISPs.
Yeah,
and this is part of the debate: is whether or not these carriers should be these ISPs should be thrown in with what are called common carriers, which are basically the big telecoms.
Yeah.
And AT&T and everybody else is fighting that because that in a way opens up they would have to give access to their lines to more people, and they really don't want to do that, which is part of the reason why I see AT&T saying that they don't want to do this. I know there's more reasons why they're saying that they're going to halt their rollout. But it's very convoluted and confusing. I hate it.
I'll give you a great example, okay? When I had AT&T, when I had Verizon, I had Verizon DSL. I left and I went to Speakeasy. Speakeasy worked off of the Verizon lines. That's how they did it. And it was nothing but trouble. So when we upgraded, I think I had 6x1. I was paying like $120 a month for this. 6x1. They brought in COVAD lines. They ran COVAD lines to me. So I had options. I had all these different options. So it was COVAD running to my house. I on some of the Verizon lines, it was actually confusing how they did it, but they did and they fixed my problem. You can't really do that now, can you?
No.
Most people just have one option. That's Comcast or Time Warner. We have Verizon Fios here, but it's not too many people have that option. So either you're gonna standardize, which I know AT&T doesn't want to do, or you're going to have to allow other people to come in. And I don't know what's the right answer here. I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know how to fix it. But AT&T's killing the rollout. This is for their UVerse service. Am I correct?
This is for their fiber optic UVerse service, yes.
Yeah.
Which I think... I know it can be costly to roll this out. Tom Merritt put out an article or linked to an article on Twitter today that says that one of the biggest hurdles is local municipalities driving up the cost of rollout for these services.
Yeah, that was the problem here in New York.
I completely understand that, but it's one of those things where I feel like we're in the times now where this should just be ubiquitous. Everybody should have, major cities, Detroit, New York City, etc., should have access and choice to fiber services, and we don't.
Yeah. This is going to be the thing. It's a game of politics, and unfortunately, it's only going to screw up the end user.
Everything up.
It's the end user who's suffering from this.
Absolutely, and I just think the way that AT&T is going about this is just very wrong. They basically threatened everybody. I'm trying to find the statement here. He says, where's the statement? Oh, I can't find the statement right now, but
by the way,
they said, we can't go out and invest that kind of money deploying fiber to 100 cities, not knowing under what rules those investments will be governed, he said.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
from the CEO, Randall Stevenson.
so Curtis B asked something interesting. He goes, I'm not familiar with U.S. internet coverage. Do most people have an option with cable and DSL, or is it just one or the other? Most people have the option for cable and DSL. If you get one, you get the other. You have options. But some other people like me have options to fiber. AT&T's UVerse service, or Verizon Fios, or Frontier. But it's still Frontier is still Verizon.
Yeah, I mean, well, see, this is one of the things that I have an issue with as well is that I don't classify DSL in the same boat as Comcast and Verizon high-speed internet.
Well, that's the
DSL
definition,
to me
right?
is not high speed.
Well, again, that goes back to with the net neutrality and everything else. What defines broadband? What defines high speed access?
Yeah.
We have to come to a conclusion on what is defined as high speed.
Yeah. If you guys really want to learn more about this net neutrality stuff, I know Tom Merida has had a couple shows this entire week where that's what their main discussion was, and there's some really great points that they make, and he understands this stuff way better than I do.
Yeah.
It's such a convoluted thing that you just have to cover so many angles and really dive into it to understand what's going on, and it's just really, really difficult to disseminate that information from stuff that's just complete BS and the stuff that is actual fact. And basically everything that you're going to get from a politician is going to be BS. You should not believe anything about net neutrality if it's coming from a politician. And I wouldn't necessarily believe anything that's coming from an ISP either, because that's going to be something that is very political as well. That's in the same boat as being a politician. They're lobbying for something that's going to benefit them more than it will benefit the consumer.
Yeah. By the way, when we say that DSL is not high speed, we're talking about standard, not ADSL2 or the supercharged DSL services that some carriers are providing.
Yeah, well,
in Canada,
for example,
there's 25 by 2.
To do what we're doing, there's no way I could do anything less than 25 megabits per second down, which rules out basically every DSL service out there.
No, actually, now they're offering that. Some services offer that now.
I believe AT&T UVerse does have that, but I think it's only like 24 megabits per second. In my area, AT&T only offers at most 24 megabits per second.
Interesting.
Which leaves me only with Comcast as my only viable high-speed internet option for anything faster than 24 megabits per second down.
And then what's the up also? With what's your upload now?
My upload now is, I believe, 10 megabits per second.
Which is pretty good.
Oh, yeah. That's decent.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Mine is 150. I got 150 by 150.
Look puny.
Yeah, 150 by 150.
You're one of those stupid guys in the freaking files coverage areas. And none of this matters to you. You've already got it, so what do you care?
I know. Who cares? You guys are suckers. You don't have Fios.
Screw you, Andrew Zarian.
Yeah.
Screw you. You and your freaking Fios internet. You've got that fiber crap.
That fiber crap. YouTube launches. YouTube launches a music key streaming service for $10 a month. No ads, offline playback, full albums, and play music access. Google announced officially a highly rumored YouTube Music subscription service that now calls YouTube Music Key. YouTube Music Keys will be available for a monthly subscription of $9.99 and unlocked ad-free music, offline playback, and video viewing, and the ability to play music in the background with other apps. What do you know about this, John?
I don't know a whole lot, except that this has been something that's rumored for the entire freaking year, and we finally have it, and it feels like a letdown in the sense that it's basically everything that they already have, just more organized in a different way, and with the possibility of downloading the videos for offline playback.
So music videos. You could download music videos.
Yeah. The way I see this, it's like a Spotify or an RDO or a Pandora, but for music videos, and you can watch it ad free.
Who downloads? First of all, who downloads music videos?
I don't know. I don't know. This is one of my problems with this music key service is that I don't understand who would use this service, who's actually downloading these videos, who benefits from offline access.
You know what I would like? Why don't they add a download button for subscribers for every video? Why can't I
don't
download
know.
everything? Are they gonna only have select videos that I could download, or are they gonna allow me to download anything?
I guess anything.
Oh well, that's actually not bad.
I mean, in terms of that particular service for music videos. I mean, they already have Vivo, which is basically the Music Key is basically Vivo without ads and offline access.
Yeah.
That's basically what I see this as. So I'm struggling to understand
What the difference is. But who cares about the ads? How much?
for as much as they're asking to do this, it just seems like it's a little expensive. You're better off, in my opinion, if you're really into music, just going with Google Play Music subscription, which you get in addition to the Music Key streaming service.
Yeah. I don't know if watching music videos is that important where I'm going to pay $10 a month. How often am I watching a music video on YouTube?
Oh, by the way, you also get background access to these videos.
What does that
You
mean?
can play music in the background while using other applications.
Oh my God, this is silly. You know?
I mean, so I'm not the only one that feels this is kind of a silly, weird service that is not going to last long, and in a way is kind of too expensive for what they're offering.
Yeah, I mean, you're essentially paying to download music videos, but I can't think of a scenario that I would want to watch a music video and be offline.
Generally, when I listen to music, I don't care about music videos. Here's my normal situation is I might go to YouTube and watch a music video once to see what that music video is.
And then that's it, you're done.
Exactly. And then if I want to hear that song again, I'm going to listen to it, on Pandora or iTunes. And I'm going to listen to it in the background while I'm doing other work.
That's so weird, though. I mean, it's a weird music service. I guess people want it. Maybe that's what the kids do. Who knows? People are downloading stuff. We're all downloading music videos, guys. It's a new thing. The new trend here. Yeah. I don't know. Weird. Let's talk about this watch, John, because we spoke about this a while ago, the $500 Apple Watch and the gold rumors. That it's going to be between $4,000 to $5,000. I hope this is true because this is silly.
Yeah, according to the French website IGN.fr, which has provided reliable information in the past, they're saying that the new Apple Watch that is going to be steel is going to be $500. Now, if you remember back from when Apple actually announced the Apple Watch, they said that it was going to be starting at $349, which is their base model. But they also have the steel model and also the gold model, and I guess a whole bunch of bands that are going to go along with this. So for the steel Apple Watch, you're going to spend at least $500. And if you want the gold watch, the gold Apple Watch, you're going to pay between $4,000 and $5,000.
Why would anybody buy this? Why would anybody?
Don't ask me.
Why
I'm not
would
a watch
anybody?
guy. Do you see any watches on my wrist?
I'm a watch guy. If I'm spending $4,000, I'm buying a Rolex. I'm buying a tag. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to buy.
And a Rolex is not going to become outdated.
Exactly.
In 2 years.
A Rolex is never. I mean, it's a timepiece. It's essentially you could have that Rolex in 30 years, and people are going to be interested in it.
This is my point as well. I'm echoing your point in the sense that I just don't understand why you spend that much money on something that, in effect,
it's
has
obsolete.
a limited shelf life.
Well, it'll be obsolete in 18 months.
If I'm going to spend that much money, I want something that I'm going to get 5+ years out of.
Let's say 18 months, okay? Let's just say it's going to be 18 months. So we're saying $4,000 divided by 18. So you are essentially paying $222 a month to wear this thing for its shelf life.
Jeez.
I'm gonna give it an 18-month shelf life, and I'm giving it a little bit more time. That's freaking nuts. That's really, really crazy.
I mean, and unless you can keep the gold band and just swap it out for the new version that comes out every year or two.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I guess so.
That's the only reason I can think of that it would be worth to pay it. Because the watch itself is going to become outdated within 2 years, if not sooner. So then you basically have a nice gold band.
Essentially, that's it. A gold watch subscription model. That's what we need. A gold watch subscription model. John, go into this exploit story.
Yeah, so this is another Apple story. It came out this week, according to, I believe, FireEye, that they discovered a vulnerability that they're nicknaming the mask attack that lets malicious websites replace legitimate apps with malware. Basically, if somebody that wants to exploit your iPhone or your iPad, they just need a couple pieces of information, your device's universal device identifier, and a developer account, an enterprise developer account, excuse me, and they could possibly replace applications on your device with malware. Although they say that the risk of this actually happening to anybody is very low, and Apple says that they have not had any reports of anybody having this happen to them yet.
Interesting.
I mean, it's a really big deal in the sense that it could be exploited for enterprise users. This is the way that the enterprise application is set up, whereby enterprise systems that have these applications that they can install without the use of an app store. And this is kind of just the way that it is designed to do. But somebody could take advantage of that because it doesn't necessarily go through the checks on making sure that the like the SSL certification is correct and everything.
Yeah.
It sounds really bad, but it's not necessarily bad because it's just the way that the enterprise application system for Apple is designed, and it's still a very low risk.
Yeah, you have to hit a non-Apple Store website.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a very small portion, but I guess have they acknowledged this?
Apple, yeah. They don't, I don't know if they're going to fix this, but it's something that they said that is so unlikely to happen that they're not very concerned about it at all.
Yeah.
Because like Curtis B in chat room says, you have to not only go to a non-Apple Store website, and then you also have to agree to install the infected application. So it's basically going to be on you whether or not to install this rogue application.
Well, at least it's
highly unlikely.
It's highly unlikely that it'll happen. Before we end the show, because we're gonna end a little early, because I have to get back to work on this house. Why don't we talk about the changes we're doing to the show? Because in January we're revamping the show.
Yeah, I've come up with new segments and stuff. I think we're going to do a completely different style of Tech News Weekly. The idea right now is to have 4 or 5 segments that tentatively have labeled Hot Topics, Viewer's Choice, a follow-up segment, the Scrap Pile, and Pick of the Week. Basically, we'll start out with, the big stories of the week, stuff that everybody's talking about, stuff that's just huge. Like if Apple has an event, obviously that's going to be the hot topic. But then I also want, viewers to interact with us. We set up a subreddit. If you go to gfqtech.reddit.com, you'll go to our subreddit. And if you submit stories there, we're going to pick, stories from there. If it's not the hot topic, of course, we're always going to cover the hot topic. But we're also wanting to include stories from you guys that not necessarily we think would, we would talk about normally. Because it's mainly just me picking stories that, seem popular at the time. But I know for a fact that you guys always have suggestions for what we should cover on the show. Almost weekly after we do the show, you guys are like, you guys should talk about this or you should talk about that. So I want to include, the kind of stuff that you guys want to talk about as well. So if you guys go to gfqtech.reddit.com and submit stories to us, we'll start including them on the show.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea to kind of bring in the viewers, and we'll, it'll be a thing where they'll contribute to the show with the topics.
Yeah, because me and you, we can pick stories, and we're obviously going to pick, very popular stories. Like whenever Apple has an event or Google has an event, we're obviously going to pick those stories. But we also want to cover stuff that might not necessarily be obvious, but would be relevant to you guys because you're interested in that stuff as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it's great. I think more participation would be awesome with the group that watches, because we have a nice solid group of people that tune in each and every week. And
I love the people in the chat room.
Yeah.
Curtis B. Who else is in there regularly? Nikki's usually in there.
Ryan Knights is
Brian
in there.
Monroe.
Dad, Brian Monroe. A lot of
JP
the regulars
is in there. He's new.
QNX Monkey. Voting.
I also
right
want to
now
do a follow-up segment, which I think would be fun if you guys have information that you want to add directly to us on a story we talked about. I want to kind of like, if we missed a point, because there's a lot of times too that you guys have great points that we don't always mention during a story.
Yeah,
so I want to do like a follow-up segment.
I would definitely do a follow-up segment.
But that's also depending on you guys actually giving us feedback and stuff.
Yeah.
Not just in the chat room, because if it's just in the chat room, it's so easy to gloss over that during the show, and then we totally miss it. So definitely use our subreddit, gfqtech.reddit.com, and just submit stuff. I don't know if we're going to do call-in shows or not.
I think it all depends. I mean, we want to do call-ins, but we were implementing the Blog Talk Radio system, and it kind of sucks. So
yeah.
But isn't that just viewer feedback, says QNX Monkey? I guess it would be viewer feedback, right? A follow-up segment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It basically is. But I mean, this is something that I've noticed every single week is that there's stuff that we miss, and there's points that the chat room brings up. Like there's articles that we don't talk about, and there's points that we don't get to that people suggest in the chat room. And I really want to start including that into Tech News Weekly.
Yeah, because sometimes we get it wrong.
The best way to do that is if people submit that information to our subreddit.
Is Reddit going to be reviewed live by you guys, or chat? Chat is still going to be the best way to comment during the live show. Reddit is just throughout the week. You guys submit stories or topics.
Yeah, that way we can, when we go and make the notes for Tech News Weekly, we'll be able to pick, what we're going to talk about instead of, figuring out on the fly, because that's just way too hard to do.
Yeah.
There's no way we can figure out, everything that is going on live.
Yeah, no, the live interaction.
There's a lot of stuff that we're doing behind the scenes while we're doing the show that we're not able to get to everything that's going on in the chat room.
I also think we, and I'm keeping this in a recording for the podcast because I think this is interesting, but I'd love to know, what the people that download think. I love to incorporate more of the people in the chat where we comment on some of this stuff, because it is a lot of people message me. They go, I came in the chat room because you guys were talking about it on the podcast. I didn't even know there was a chat room, really. So I do want to kind of make it more of a, not a news delivery show, but I want to make it more of a conversation about everything that's happening and open it up. I mean, sometimes we could talk about, 3 or 4 topics, but I want the chat to be involved where they shoot us ideas and we kind of give them credit for it.
Absolutely. And I think our subreddit is a great way to do that.
Yeah.
I know I've started submitting articles there just to kind of give everybody an idea of the kind of stuff that we do. Because basically that's what I do. I go through Feedly and subscribe to a bunch of tech websites, and I bookmark stuff all week long. So I'm throwing that stuff on Reddit now for you guys to check out as well. You basically get an inside view of my thinking process for how I'm creating notes and what I think is interesting and could be used on Tech News Weekly.
Yeah. How about Hangouts, says JP? I don't know. It gets a little unstable when you don't know who's coming in and out.
Yeah.
That's the only problem with that. It gets a little chaotic and it gets a little distracting. The chat is just enough for me to be able to handle my shiny issues. All right, John, let's wrap it up. Go to our website, gfqlive.tv or gfqnetwork.com. You can catch the show archived there, along with every other show we have on the network. We have a bunch of shows being posted each and every week. If you want to support us, you could do that by using our Amazon affiliate link. Go to gfq.co/Amazon and bookmark it. And whenever you buy something on Amazon, use that link and we get a tiny little credit from each purchase. Also, you could fund us via our Patreon campaign on What the Tech. It's patreon.com/whatthetech. Right now, we're at $570, something like that. And you guys have been really funding. It's been phenomenal. Or you could go to our gfq.com/contribute page and check out what we have there. You can follow John on Twitter at Suncast. I'm Andrew Zarian on Twitter, and we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.